Another blood-red sunset and yet another moon phase, and still another 100 miles to my next resting place. Driving down the road, eyes on the horizon. Within my car, I'm all alone, but feeling good and feeling strong, knowing that this path I'm on brings me to myself. I'm driving.
Hey now all, I'm Joey C. Welcome back to another episode of Spirit Sherpa. This is the show that helps and encourages you on your journey to unlock your magic mojo. With me as always is the Spirit Doctor, Kelle Sparta. Hey Kelle.
Hey Joey.
How's it going?
It's going well.
We're going to get a little serious here today, Kelle.
Yeah, we are.
In a good way, certainly.
Mm-hmm.
You are going to talk to us today about sort of how we can find balance when everything around us, and not just around us in our immediate lives, but in the bigger picture of the world, just feels like everything's in flux and turmoil and just completely unstable.
Yeah. We did our Q&A episode last time, and I thought about it, and I was like, there is another question that I get asked a lot right now. And it is, how do you balance your positivity and your desire to be positive in the world with all the crap that's going down?
Yeah.
With all the instabilities, with all of the hate, with all of the, shootings and any number of other things that have happened. You turn on the news and it's everywhere. It's just like, right?
Yep.
And my first answer to that question is, don't turn on the news. Seriously.
But there's a level of putting your head in the sand at that point too.
Yeah. All right. So here's the deal.
Okay.
There are things that you can impact.
Yeah.
And there are things that you can't. And there's a limit to how much time you have.
Mm-hmm.
Every person has a purpose to serve in the world. Some people's purpose is to rally against certain issues or to rally for certain issues. And some people's purpose is not to do that.
Okay.
This is yet another way in which we kick ourselves for not being good enough.
Mm-hmm.
Is we're like, well, I'm not doing enough. I'm not doing enough. It's like, okay, well, what reasonably can you do? Do what you can reasonably do.
Mm-hmm.
What is within your purview to do? By all means, do it. Give to your favorite charity. Give to your favorite politician. Give to your favorite cause. Whatever it is that you believe in, give of your time, energy, and or money for those things. And outside of that, you can't do anything, right? So there's no point in beating yourself up about it.
Okay.
There's a way in which, I tell people, I stopped listening to the news in 1996. And every time there's something that happens that I need to know about, someone tells me, oh, there's a blizzard coming. Good to know. Thanks.
Yeah.
I mean, every time somebody goes, oh, did you know are you ready for the blizzard? I'm like, oh, there's a blizzard. I didn't know. I didn't watch the news. I didn't. And go figure, I got the news anyway. Right. I'm on Facebook. There's a million different comments about a million different things. And I always hear about stuff that I need to know and more that I didn't want to know either. So I will tell you, the day that I quit listening to the news, it was the day that a female reporter, a female anchor, was reporting on a school bus accident. And she said, thankfully, no one was hurt. And she sounded disappointed. It was 1996. That's how long ago this was.
Yeah.
That's how long ago this whole pressure on the news organizations to be entertainment versus news has been going on. And so long as that trend continues, there is 0 point in watching the news.
Okay.
Because it's not a news organization. It is entertainment masquerading as news. And I'm not entertained by violence.
Right.
I'm just not. I'm not entertained by misery and violence. And so I don't participate. I don't check into that process. And it's much easier to maintain your positivity in the world when you don't check into the misery channel. And again, I'm going to say the same thing around the television shows that you watch. If you're only watching the shows where somebody dies every episode and somebody did something horrible to somebody in the process, then you're going to start to see the world as a very violent, very unfriendly place. Now, sadly, that means that there's not an awful lot of stuff that you can watch because that basically describes almost every television show out there.
Right.
But, there are some that are lesser than others. But if we all vote with our viewership or lack thereof, then maybe they'll come out with some more positive messaged things. In the meantime, there's YouTube and Facebook and any number of other blogs and services that you can go and consume your information from. And, go figure, there's also putting down the cell phone and talking to the people in your life.
Right.
What a novel concept. They talk about how since the introduction of cell phones in 2012, that the rate of suicides in teens has gone up dramatically. Wow. The rate of depression, teen depression, has gone up dramatically. And that's a function of, I'm not with my friends, I'm with my phone. And when you are being separated from your connections to the world, it's very hard to maintain your level of happipiness. Mm-hmm. One of the other things I would say is connect. Put down your phone. In fact, leave your phone behind and go for a walk. Novel concept, right? Go for a walk with someone you love.
Yeah.
Go out and talk with them. Go out in nature and commune with the trees. Get away from the media because media will make you miserable. Media equals misery. Let's just put that on our screen somewhere. Media equals misery. Stay away from it. Because that's what's going on. The world is not nearly as dangerous a place as the media presents it to be. I know. I spent a year on the road living off $350 a month in the kindness of strangers. And for a year, strangers took me in and housed me and fed me. And and I didn't know these people.
Yeah.
And, everything I discovered was people who were willing to help, people who are willing to make the world a better place. The average person in the U.S., because I didn't do this internationally, but the average person, because I've talked to a lot of them, generally wants to make the world a better place. They want to make people happy. They want to be of service. They want to be useful. They want to make the world happier. And that is all that we as a society want. Mm-hmm. And so the thing that we have to do as individuals who are conscious and who have these empathic abilities to tap into all of this stuff that's going on is we have to, one, monitor our energy field and see who we're tapping into and what we're tapping into.
Yep.
Right. And if you haven't done the Boundaries for Empaths program, you need to do the Boundaries for Empaths program if you're an empath. It is free with the coupon code, which we will post yet again. Yes. Because it's so important. So you need to monitor where you're putting your energy field so that you're not picking up on other people's stuff. Mm-hmm. And then you need to pay attention to what you're feeding yourself, both physically and informationally.
Okay.
And then you have to monitor your own perception of it, because we all have this sort of victim space that we're very comfortable going to over and over again.
Right.
And the victim space says, oh, the planet's going to hell in a handbasket, and oh, we're all going to die, and oh, I can't do anything about it, and oh, the person I didn't want to be in office is in office, and oh, all horrible things are going to happen, and oh, but there's always something to about.
Right.
Right? And the fact is, if you look around you, generally everything's pretty okay. You got a roof over your head, you got food in your belly, you got things that you're doing and people who love you. And, the world in actuality around you is generally okay. And so again, I say, pay attention to what's true. Now, this doesn't mean that you shouldn't get involved in the causes that you're interested in, right? So, if you see an injustice or if you see something that needs to change, by all means, use your megaphone. But at the end of the day, put it down and look at what your life actually is. And be grateful that you are not the person dealing with the things that you're trying to fight against.
Okay.
And if you're someone who is dealing with the things that you're fighting against every day, then find a place to stand solid in yourself. And if you're looking for a book that can inspire you in that fashion, then read Viktor Frankl's Man's Search for Meaning.
Okay.
And, he was a concentration camp survivor, and he talked about how he held his power in the concentration camps. And you can't get worse than that.
Right.
Ultimately, our balance comes from how we stand in our own mindset and in our own belief structures. So when we buy into being victimized, then we feel victimized.
Okay. I'm going to ask you a question.
Yeah.
I want to talk about the use of the word balance here, because we've talked about balance before, and how balance is not necessarily finding center. Balance is about existing in both sides at the same time. Mm-hmm. Is it possible for us, in the context of what we're talking about, and I think you've addressed it here with regards to the idea of, if you see an injustice that you believe in, then by all means get involved. And that means you have to understand what that injustice is in order to do it.
Correct.
But there are a number of people, especially people who are trying to live a spiritual life or an enlightened path or things like that, who intentionally shut off, not just don't listen to the news, but they actually literally won't even engage in anything that is counter to light work. And to me, that seems a little unbalanced. There needs to be some acknowledgement. And I think the Frankl book that you reference is a great indication of that. There's no shutting off the darkness that he lived every day, but he figured out how to incorporate that into his light and ultimately survive.
Yeah. The people who live in denial of the darkness, whether it be the outer darkness or their inner darkness, or the people I refer to as the white light and bunny people. Yeah. So everything is white light and bunnies. If I only hold a positive intent, then nothing bad will ever come and get me. And they're the ones who inevitably are eaten by their shadows. Right? Okay. So by no means am I saying, live in denial, right? I'm not asking you to be Cleopatra by any stretch of the imagination, right? Basically, what I want you to do is to look it in the face and say, okay, I'm not happy about this. And, there is a way, if we look at, since we brought up the concentration camps, there is a way in which the Germans didn't speak up when the Nazi party took over, and that allowed it to flourish. Right. So I'm not saying by any stretch of the imagination that there's that quote, and I don't remember who said it, but the only thing it takes for evil to flourish is that good men do nothing, right? Yeah. And I don't remember who said it, but it's a good quote. Yeah. So I'm not saying don't do nothing. Right. What I'm saying is, or don't do anything, right? My mother is yelling in my head all the negatives, right?
I was kind of yelling at you too, but I figured I'd shut it off.
My mother's an English teacher. Yay. Okay. I'm not saying, don't do anything. What I'm saying is that you need to acknowledge that your own limits. Mm-hmm. Once you have signed the petition and sent the money and donated the miles, the airline miles, or whatever it is that you need to do in order to be in support of the cause that you're doing, acknowledge that there is a limit to how much you can do. Right. And if you have sat down and truly searched your heart and said, this is everything I can do, okay. You've done your piece, and you're going to trust that other people are going to do theirs. Mm-hmm. That's what grassroots processes are all about, right? So everybody does their part, and it's all generally a small part, but it adds up to a big part. Right. So, the misery isn't coming from the fact that there are things that are going south, right? So much as it comes from the belief that when things go south, you have to fix it all yourself. Right. And that if it's not fixed, it's all your fault. Yep. So what I'm saying is acknowledge what's wrong, do your part to fix it, and then move on. Mm-hmm. Because so long as you stay entrenched in the misery with the people, we do this to ourselves too, right? We think, oh, well, my misery is what's keeping the idea alive that I need to change something. And so, if I don't beat myself up for screwing something up, then I'm always going to do it again. Right. We do that internally. And this is just another version of that. where you're beating yourself up internally. Oh my God, these things are still happening. These people are having this horrible experience. And I have to be miserable with them so that I can validate their experience, or else nobody cares. And it's like, well, no, that's not entirely true.
Yeah.
And you cared. You signed the petition and you sent the money and you donated the miles or whatever it was that you were doing, and you shared on Facebook or whatever, and you got other people involved and you did what you could do. And now you get to go live your life.
Yeah.
It's not being selfish. It's being realistic.
Mm-hmm.
I've done what I can do. I'm not, the next time it comes around, maybe I can do some more.
Yep.
Because, these things always have cycles where they come around 2, 3, 4 times, right?
Yep.
And the next time it comes around, maybe I can do more. But in the interim, I'll call my congressman.
Yeah.
Right? What am I supposed to do? There's only so much I can do. It's about acknowledging the limits of your abilities and then letting yourself off the hook. Mm-hmm. Right? And there's going to be a lot of people out there going, no, nobody should let themselves off the hook until this is fixed. It's like, well, but only those of us who are used to being beaten up not going to let ourselves off the hook.
Well, and I don't hear you saying let yourself off the hook as in stop caring. You're saying let yourself off the hook is no longer make yourself responsible for fixing the whole thing. Correct.
And I'm saying stop overcaring.
Okay.
I mean, I care that some of the things that are going down, and I'm not specifically stating them because I don't want to be political here. It's not about politics.
Yep.
I care that some of the things that are going down, but I don't put myself in the position of being the person who was there.
Okay.
Who is there in that moment. I'm not mentally or energetically pushing myself into the space of being that person. That's overcaring.
Okay.
That's energetic codependency. Okay. Mm-hmm. So, it's one thing to have compassion for. It's another one to say, I'm in there with you in the trenches, even though I'm here thousands of miles away.
Okay.
That's what I'm saying. And if you can get yourself out of that state of being in the trenches with them and being in that energetically codependent space, then your misery levels will drop dramatically.
Okay. Well, I think this was a lot.
It was a heavy episode.
It was heavy. No, but it was good. And you know what? Again, we've talked about this, and I think we talked about it at the beginning of the episode as well. With Spirit Sherpa, we try to sort of touch on topics that are evergreen. We try to sort of keep things that are relevant to the learning path that you're laying forward here in this model. But this is an important one because it ties into all of this work you're doing, because if you're not balanced, then you can't do the stuff that you want to do and you get caught up on one side or the other. You're locked in the trenches, as you said, and you're not focused on the work that you're trying to do.
Well, and this stuff will steal your energy.
Yeah.
And it'll suck the life out of you.
Yep.
You're just like, I can't get out of bed. It's so depressing.
Yeah.
And it's just like, oh, really? Okay. But is that serving the world for you to be so entrenched in something that you literally can do nothing more about?
Right.
That you can't get out of bed.
Yep.
Or that you can't do the things that will make the world a better place in your side of the world.
Yep.
So, it's about finding balance. It's about caring and doing, but not overdoing and not overcaring.
Okay.
This is, again, when we talk about the importance of doing your work, right? Yeah. Because when you invest too much in situations like this, you have no energy left to do your own process. And sometimes we use that as a resistance to doing our own process. Oh, I can't possibly look at my life. Look at the lives of the horrible things, the people who are having horrible things done to them today.
Yeah.
Right? And it's a resistance to doing your own work sometimes.
Yeah. And there you go, folks. Lessons from Kelle here in finding balance in a very difficult time. All right. If you have questions about this, if you have questions about anything, go to the Facebook group. go to the Spirit Sherpa Podcast After Party Facebook group where you can put your questions in and meet with other Spirit Sherpa listeners, guests who've been on the show, all kinds of things you can do there. The link is in the show notes. You can find it there, or you can just search Facebook for Spirit Sherpa Podcast After Party.
And I just want to mention that we haven't talked about this in a while, but if you're in a place where you think you're ready to start working on yourself and you're ready to find a happier path for you, then the Mastering Spiritual Evolution program is really the way to go with that. And I would be happy to talk to you about that. You can find it on the website in the online programs section. But, I would really encourage you just to sign up for a discovery call to see if it's a good fit for you. The discovery call doesn't cost a penny. It's just time spent with me on the phone. And I actually had somebody who was stunned the other day because I called her and she was like, what? Oh, I thought this was going to be a video you were going to send me or something. And I got to talk to you? That's awesome. And so, yes, you actually get to talk to me and I would love to talk to you. And so, just sign up for the discovery call. That again, if you go to the homepage of the website, kellesparta.com, and again, Kelle is Kelle. Yes, my mother's phonetically stupid, but KELLESPARTA.com. And the homepage right at the top in the header says book a discovery call right there. It's hard to miss. So just sign up there and I'd love to talk to you.
And you can also sign up for Kelle's mailing list on kellesparta.com as well, where you can get information about all kinds of things, advanced notice on retreats, on things that are happening in the Facebook groups, all of that stuff.
Sometimes special coupons.
So there you go. And you're right. We haven't talked about the MSE program in a little bit, but we've touched on that quite a bit, and it's a great program that people can get information on at kellesparta.com. And like you said, you're happy to talk to them about it in a discovery call to see if it's going to be a fit for them as well. And also, we want you to subscribe and rate the podcast. But remember, Kelle is looking for a little birthday present here for her birthday in November. She would like to double the number of downloads. So she's looking for 40,000 downloads by the time we hit November 1st, right? Mm-hmm. November 1st. And so you can help her out by sharing this podcast where appropriate. Don't go spamming it out to, a Facebook group or something like that, but apply it where appropriate and just share the knowledge and the learning and teachings that Kelle is bringing to people. It's a great way to help people on this path as well, whether they're looking to be on the path or they just have something that might be relevant for them to learn in a situation they're in that moment.
Yeah.
And that's all that we have. Did you want to wrap up with anything, people to sort of Kelle quip there to take with them into the dark night?
Yeah. So my friend Noah would say to you what I'm going to say, which is gratitude cures everything. So if you're feeling depressed, if you're feeling overwhelmed by what's going on, if you're feeling overdone by the world, come back to your gratitude. Look at what is in your life that is good. Look at what it is that you are grateful for, even to the point of, I'm grateful that the air I breathe is actually breathable. I'm grateful that I can get up in the morning. I'm grateful that I can, that there's food in my refrigerator, that there's a roof over my head, that I can walk when I'm going for my walk in the morning. Kathy is a big fan of, I'm grateful for running water and running drinkable water, because she's lived in many places where that was not true.
Yeah.
And so, find your gratitude. If you sit down, even right now, I can find gratitude for you. You're listening to this podcast. The podcast, in order for the podcast to happen, the people at Zoom had to create the platform for Joey and I to record it on. The people who created at Logitech, that I'm using my microphone and my video camera, had to create the microphone and the camera. The internet had to be in existence, which means there are thousands of computers around the world that are serving the internet to us. And then you have whatever the phone is that you're playing it on, and whatever the utility company is that allows you to charge your phone. right? And creates the electricity that allows you to have the power to utilize. And then all the apps that you use, every single person who created an app, they did all of this out of a sense of making our lives easier. And yes, they're making money doing it, but that's our compensation to them as a thank you for all the work that they do. And so, just a single podcast, and you have so much to be grateful for.
That is fantastic. All right. Thank you, Kelle. And that is all that we have for this week, folks. Be sure to join us next time as Kelle adds another chapter into your guide to energy, magic, and the spirit world. I'm Joey C. here with Kelle Sparta, and you have been listening to Spirit Sherpa. So long, everyone.
Bye. Be grateful.
I travel over 13,000 now. I leave behind a little fear.
Spirit Sherpa is the sole property of Kelle Sparta Enterprises and is distributed under Creative Commons BY-NC-ND 4.0 license. For more information about this licensing, please go to creativecommons.org. Any requests for deviations to this licensing should be sent to KELLE@KELLESPARTA.com. That's Kelly@KelleSparta.com. To sign up or to get more information on the programs, offerings, and services referenced in this episode, please go to KelleSparta.com. This episode of Spirit Sherpa has been produced by Honu Voice Productions.
And my love and my life and